Hey, I'm Jacy Jenkins, the new Director of Tourism for Russell County in Phoenix City, Alabama. And we're going to be doing a show once a month on different attractions, tourist attractions in the area. And today we've started out with one of the #1 attractions in the area. The New York Times has written about it, NPR's come and visited, Roadside America's featured it. And it's right off 431 and 169. So you're out on the way to or from the beach, you can stop off, and it's the first drive-through museum in the world. So the mastermind behind all this is Butch Anthony, and we're gonna have an opportunity to speak with him in a moment. But this really is the appetizer to what he has out here. He's built this so you can stop off right off the highway and come whet your appetite with this, drive through, and then you can go across the street, take a right onto Poorhouse Road, take a left, and you can see the Museum of Wonder where they had the Doonanny, and maybe if he invites you in, you can see some of the cool stuff he's done with this house. So we're here with Butch Anthony, and so why did you build this? You already had the Museum of Wonder, and what was your approach?
Yeah, well, so many folks were coming down to the house beating on the door wanting to go to that museum. I said, well, if I can get up there on the new highway, I'll just put some shipping containers up there and cut holes in there and just make it a drive-through. People can just drive through it, look at the art, and keep on going. You ain't gotta come wake me up when I'm taking a nap.
So had you seen anybody else do this, or was this just something you thought of?
No, I just thought of how could I do it? I was going to get some like old school buses that cut the windows out, and I said, well, I found these old shipping containers, and we just cut holes in them, put the glass in there, and I started filling them up with stuff. So I change it around every now and then.
Yeah, how long did it take you to do this?
Oh, it took about 6 months, I guess.
I'm from Orlando, west of Orlando, Florida. Just drove by and saw the sign and saw this nice looking vehicle there, like antiques and art things like this. So saw the sign, Willie Nelson for president.
Yeah, somebody brought me this thing the other day. Never telling what people was gonna drive up with. Some dude was bulldozing on the side of the road, and he bulldozed up this 12,000-year-old woolly mammoth jawbone. Brought it and said, you want to put it in the museum? Yep.
I like back roads and the scenic routes. You never know what you're going to see, and look what popped up. Pretty cool.
Hey guys, we're here at the main course, the Museum of Wonder, with Butch Anthony, and he's going to share a little bit about how this all began in the 70s.
Yeah, well, when I was about 14, and we were looking for arrowheads in the creek down here, about 5 miles down the road, and somebody stumped their toe on something, and they said, look out, it's a piece of metal sticking out of the creek bank there. So I went over there with my pocket knife and popped it out, and it was a big old dinosaur vertebrae. So Auburn came over here and said it was 65 million years old. So I had this little barn here and made a little pedestal and put some velvet on it and stuck it on there, and people started coming off from Phoenix City, did a newspaper article on it, old Mark Clark. And then people started coming around. So other people started bringing me weird stuff. So I just kept putting it in there, and it just turned into a museum.
When did you name it Museum of Wonder?
Oh, that was back in the 80s, I guess.
But how did it come about now, 30 years later plus, to now you're one of the most prolific folk artists in Southeast, even in America?
People just started bringing me these old pictures of their relatives, and they didn't know what to do with them, so I just started doodling on them, and people started liking them, so it just took off from there.
So, and now you have people from all over the world coming to visit you. I know last time there was a family from Amsterdam that had come several times. And it's great because we're kind of out in the backwoods of Alabama, but there's this unique, authentic art that you're giving us to give to the world, and it's bringing the world here. Has that just blown your mind? Or?
Yeah, people in London really like it. I've done like 4 shows over there. They're talking about taking it over to Moscow.
Wow.
So who knows where to go next.
Wow.
Well, you want to go in and look around some?
Yeah, let's do it.
Come on in here. This is the first room that started. Yeah, this is where it all started. I had one little pedestal right in here, and people from the Auburn Museum came over here and got it. So it's over in Auburn if you want to see that one bone. But I've found like 5 different dinosaurs since then. So. Wow. Yeah, well, come on through. It goes all through here. I just started one room after another, and it just kind of turned into a maze. This was at the Coney Island Aquarium, and somebody threw it in the garbage. I guess it was getting old.
Are all of these items for sale, or do you have some that you keep for personal?
Oh, yeah, I'll sell anything. I'll sell that dog right there if you want it. Well, it keeps on going through here, and this is where I got my little workshop.
There's so much. You really can't get it in just one tour.
Yeah, this is the only museum in the country with a dirt floor. We ain't like them fancy museums.
Well, what's so cool is it's a quintessential backwoods Alabama experience. This is what you would want if you're going to come to a museum in the woods.
And if you got anything you want to donate, just bring it down. If I ain't here, just put it on the step out there, and I'll make something out of it. So that's how I get a lot of stuff. People bring me all kinds. Some little lady will dig some weird root out of her garden and bring it down there and tell me, this root looks like Raquel Welch. I wanted you to have it. I'll stick it in a jar and put it in here. So I got one little spot here where I build everything. But I got so much junk in here I can't hardly work. So I just stick it down here. I can't hardly throw nothing away because I always need it. So. And other people around Russell County make stuff too, like John Henry or Buddy Snipes down in Hurtsboro. He finds old roots and lighter knots out in the woods, and he turns them into these crazy concoctions he does. Like, he used to make all his toys when he was little because he didn't have any money, so he just makes something out of a lighter knot. And so I got a collection of his stuff in here. So these are the main things I'm doing right now is these old portraits I find. They come through the possum trot and people bring them to me and I trade for them. And this one's made out of the lady that died. They took her clothes, all her old dresses, and they undid the threads on them and made these flowers out of all the threads from her dress. No telling how many hours it took to do that. So I'll get the portrait and then I'll put some weird writing on it and then I'll put a skeleton on them. So for like an X-ray, kind of 3D.
So do people send you portraits for you to work on? Yep. Mm-hmm. Does that seem to be one of your biggest forms?
Yeah, I was just doodling around one day and drew a skeleton head on there, and somebody, I want that. And so I did another one, and it just took off. John Henry, because he's the one that sort of started it all, you know. When he plowed up a turnip in my garden, and we found it stuck to his plow, and I pulled it off there, and it looked like a man's head, and I'll draw a picture of that thing. So he drew a picture of it, and I took it down to Pittsview to Frank Turner's old antique store. He had a junk store down there back in the early 90s, and that's where we sold the first painting. I stuck it in the window just as a joke, wrote $50 on it, and the next day somebody came along and bought it.
Wow.
I was like, Lord have mercy, I'll paint one. So I did one, put $50 on it, stuck it in the window, and the next day somebody bought that one.
Oh, wow. So you felt, you knew you were onto something. Yeah. Well, and you've been featured, Roadside America, NPR, American Pickers, New York Post, or was it New York Post or Times? I can't remember. They did a whole spread on you too. Yeah. So, I mean, it definitely, this style and this art, it really is prolific and resonating with a lot of people from all over the world.
A good friend of mine from Arkansas told me about Butch. I'm a metal sculptor, painter, artist myself. But I saw what Butch was doing to these old portraits, and I collect antiques and odd objects. We swung through here, and it's just, there's a lot to look at. I mean, it's mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. I mean, what he's doing, the impact of the art is something that needs to be noticed. I mean, he's definitely on the right track.
Oh, coming on into my house now. Built this back in the 80s. All out of old houses I tore down. These old cabinets, chest of drawers come through the possum trot sometimes, so I take the drawers out and put them up, make little cabinets of curiosities, and I put all the little junk I find in the woods in here. Sometimes I'll be painting at night, and a bug will fly in around, flitting around the lights, and I'll grab him and stick him in a painting too.
So how long did it take you to do that?
Over the years to find all that little stuff. You know, every time I find something, I'll just hang it on there. I see it as free art supplies. People throw so much stuff away. You don't need to go to a fancy art store and buy all those fancy canvases and paintbrushes and stuff. Just dig in somebody's trash and you can find all you want for free. Yeah, this is where I take a bath here. I got an old black hose run out in the sun, curled up, and when the sun comes out, it heats that hose up. It gets up to about 130 degrees, so I don't need a hot water heater. I'm gonna chop the telephone pole down one day and just do away with electricity too. Yeah, this is Leon Russell. He's a famous rock and roller from way back in the 70s. This summer I traded him his rock and roll Cadillac for some art. The loser. I had found all these trophies in the thrift stores and from the possum trot. Didn't know what to do with them, so I said, I'll find me a Cadillac and I'll just glue them all over it. Instead of being a winner with all the trophies, it'll be the loser. So that's how that came about. Before I got the shipping containers, we built the drive-through here.
So this was where the infamous, worldwidely known Doonanny Festival was first thrown by Butch and his crew.
Yeah. First we started off on the side of the road down at Pittsview, and like 5 people showed up. And then after about 10 years of doing it there at Frank's Turner's old store, then we moved it here and it started getting bigger and bigger. And the last one we did, like 4,000 people showed up, and it was people everywhere. So it got out of hand. I couldn't handle all them people, so we just kind of shut it down. But we might start something back. Double secret Doonanny.
I mean, I was over in Europe a couple years ago, and I got word of, I told who I was and where I was from, and they started talking about Doonanny. I couldn't believe it, you know. I was in Belgium, and they're like, oh, we love Doonanny. And so there's a following. There's a following for this area and for the festival. So you can tell us a little bit about this boat that y'all built, Butch. Y'all made a film out of it too.
This is the boat we built all out of junk, and we sailed it all the way from Columbus all the way to Apalachicola, Florida, all the way down to Chattahoochee. That's John Henry Toney. I spray painted his face on there, and then I had all these extra old frames, so I just stuck them up there where you have to look through there to see his face. So I just hung them up like that, and it looks like you're looking through a little peephole.
So Butch, you said that you had a Tom Cruise movie or something your art was featured in?
Yeah, that Jack Reacher, Never Say Die or Never Say Never, whatever it was. Anyway, they bought one of my big paintings, and when he goes into the hotel scene, it's hanging right behind him. Taxi's ready.
Oh yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us with Tourism Time. We'll see you next month.